The starport hung like a glittering jewel in the void of space. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved in careful choreography, docking and departing with the precision of a clockwork machine. For Kale, the hum of engines and the glow of the docking lights never grew old. Each arrival at a new station felt like stepping into a living painting, one that changed with every new civilization he visited. Kyle adjusted the strap of his messenger bag as he stepped out of the shuttle, his boots clanging lightly against the metal floor of the platform. Beside him, Lyra moved with the same grace she always had, her eyes scanning the bustling crowd with both curiosity and caution. She always noticed things Kale missed, the way a Thrin's eyes would flicker when they were nervous, or how a human diplomat tried too hard to hide excitement. "Look at this place," Kale murmured, his voice filled with awe. "It's bigger than I imagined." Lyra smiled, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "Bigger, yes, but not bigger than our problems." She kept her tone light, but Kale knew that behind the words lay the tension of the mission ahead. They were here on a diplomatic assignment, and not just any assignment. This was their first meeting with the Thrin, a species whose reputation for sharp observation and strict codes of conduct made even the most confident human envoy nervous. Kale glanced at her. "You mean the ones who can see if you're lying by just looking at you?" Lyra laughed softly, a sound that made the tension in Kale's chest loosen just a little. "Exactly. And they don't just read faces. They watch movements, tone, even your hesitation. Every tiny thing matters." "Oh so. One read it down by where in 43. Most dot on the next one." Kale grinned, though a small knot of worry tightened in his stomach. "Then it's a good thing I have you to guide me through it." Lyra's eyes sparkled with mischief. She leaned in close and whispered, "Pretend to kiss me. He's watching." Kale froze, a smile tugging at his lips. "Are you sure, my love?" he asked, playing along. Lyra's smile widened. "Absolutely. Just trust me." It was a playful moment, but Kale understood why she suggested it. The Thrin were meticulous observers, but they had never experienced human emotion in its raw, playful form. By showing an honest display of affection, even if only a pretend one, Kale and Lyra could demonstrate trust, spontaneity, and emotional authenticity. It was a gamble, but one they had to take. As they moved through the docking hall, Kale noticed the first Thrin ambassador waiting for them. Tall and slender, the alien's skin shimmered faintly under the station lights, like liquid silver. Its eyes, large and almond-shaped, seemed to absorb every detail around it. Kale felt a tingle of nervousness run down his spine. He had read about the Thrin, studied their culture, but nothing prepared him for the reality of standing in front of one. Lyra gently took his hand, squeezing it reassuringly. "Remember," she said, "confidence is just as important as honesty. Don't overthink it." Kale nodded, taking a deep breath. "Confidence," he muttered to himself. Then, leaning slightly toward Lyra, he offered a soft smile. "Ready?" She nodded. "Ready." They approached the Thrin ambassador, and Kale carefully bowed in the human diplomatic style. Lyra followed, keeping her movements fluid, natural, and deliberate. The ambassador's eyes seemed to flicker over them, scanning, analyzing, and Kale felt the weight of its gaze settle on him like gravity. Then, almost instinctively, he leaned forward, tilting his head just enough to brush his lips against Lyra's cheek. It was quick, subtle, and perfectly innocent to human eyes, but to the Thrin, it was a signal. Kale felt a thrill at the small rebellion of human spontaneity. Lyra caught his glance and winked, a tiny acknowledgement that they were on the same page. The ambassador's expression did not change. Yet Kale could sense a shift. The Thrin seemed intrigued. Perhaps they had expected stiffness, formality, calculated politeness. Instead, they were met with a moment of human warmth, something unpredictable and raw. "Greetings, humans," the Thryn said in perfect basic, its voice melodic and precise. "We have observed your arrival. Please follow me." Kale and Lyra exchanged a brief glance, and then followed the ambassador through the station corridors. The walls gleamed with polished metal, and holographic displays floated in midair, showing star maps, trade data, and environmental readings. Kale's mind raced as he took in the sheer scale of the operation. This station was more than a hub for travel, it was a monument to interstellar civilization, a crossroads of countless worlds. "Do you ever stop being amazed by this?" Kale whispered to Lyra. She shook her head. "Never. But remember why we're here." The ambassador led them into a large chamber, where a council of Thryn awaited. Each member was slightly different. Some taller, some with iridescent patterns on their skin. Kale could feel their attention settle on him and Lyra, a weight that made him straighten instinctively. Lyra leaned toward him and whispered, "Play it cool. Humor and charm will help. Show them humans are clever, adaptable, and unpredictable." Kale smiled. "Unpredictable. I like that part." As they entered the chamber, Kale noticed a small device hovering near the ceiling, monitoring and recording their every gesture. The Thryn did not need words, they could detect hesitation, uncertainty, and subtle signs of deception. But Kale also knew one thing. Humans were masters of improvisation. Their emotions, instincts, and creativity could be used as tools in ways the Thryn might never fully understand. The council members did not speak immediately. They studied Kale and Lyra, their eyes scanning, observing. Kale felt his heart beat faster, but reminded himself to remain calm. He offered a polite nod and smiled, letting warmth and confidence radiate naturally. Lyra mirrored him perfectly, her smile genuine, her posture relaxed yet poised. After a long moment, the lead council member stepped forward. "Humans," it said, voice smooth and controlled. "Your species is unique. We have read reports, but now we see firsthand." Kale's lips twitched with amusement. Unique indeed. That was one way to put it. He subtly glanced at Lyra, who gave him a small, reassuring nod. Together, they had made an impression. The lead member continued. "Your interactions show spontaneity, curiosity, and emotion. Traits we find fascinating. Tell us, what brings you to our station?" Kale took a deep breath. He spoke clearly, with measured honesty. "We are here to establish stronger relations between humans and the Thryn, to learn from each other, and to ensure that our species can coexist peacefully in this sector," Lyra added, her voice steady and confident. "And to share knowledge. Humans have much to offer, just as we hope to learn much from you." The council members exchanged glances, communicating silently in ways Kale could not understand. But he could feel the tension ease slightly, replaced with cautious interest. As the meeting continued, Kale noticed the small signs he had learned to watch for. A slight tilt of the head, the faint glow in the Thryn's eyes, when intrigued, a pause in movement that indicated careful consideration. Humans relied on intuition. The Thryn relied on observation. Together, it was a delicate balance, a dance of understanding between two very different intelligences. When the session ended, the lead council member nodded once. "We will consider your proposals. Your species has potential." Kale exhaled quietly, relief flooding through him. Lyra squeezed his hand, and they shared a small, private smile. Even amidst the grandeur and tension of interstellar diplomacy, their connection remained a source of strength. As they left the chamber, Kale whispered, "You were right, my love. The little pretend kiss it worked." Lyra laughed softly. "Sometimes, the smallest gestures say the most." Outside the chamber, the station stretched out before them, alive with movement and light. Kale felt a surge of pride, not just for himself, or for Lyra, but for humanity. In a galaxy filled with countless species, humans had something special: resourcefulness, humor, emotion, and unpredictability. Traits that could make them both admired and feared. And for the first time in this alien station, Kale felt the true weight of that potential and the thrill of what was yet to come. The halls of the station were alive with quiet hums and the soft blinking of lights. Kale and Lyra followed the Thrin ambassador through long corridors, each one more elaborate than the last. Walls shimmered like liquid metal, displaying holographic data that shifted constantly. Star maps rotated in the air, showing not just the positions of planets and stations, but entire fleets of ships moving across light years. Kale could barely keep his eyes on the path in front of him. "It's dizzying," he admitted, voice low, as if speaking too loudly would break the strange rhythm of the station. Lyra smiled, always calm under pressure. Kale nodded, trying to mimic her calm. The ambassador led them to a smaller chamber, one that felt more private than the main council hall. It was oval-shaped, with a polished floor that reflected their movements like water. A faint blue glow pulsed from the walls, almost like a heartbeat. The ambassador stopped and faced them. "Humans," it said, voice smooth and even. "We wish to test your adaptability." Kale exchanged a quick glance with Lyra. "A test?" he asked cautiously. The Thrin nodded. "Yes. We must understand if your species can handle complexity beyond what your reports describe. You will be presented with a scenario. Observe, respond, and act. Every choice will be recorded." Lyra squeezed Kale's hand slightly, her grip steady. "Remember," she whispered, "we can do this. Use what makes us human, our cleverness, our emotion, our unpredictability." The ambassador gestured, and a panel on the wall unfolded, projecting a three-dimensional scene in midair. Kale blinked. It looked like a simulation of a planetary settlement under siege. Ships were approaching, and automated defenses seemed unsure how to respond. Civilians moved frantically, seeking shelter. "This is your scenario," the ambassador said. "You are in command. How will you ensure the survival of both the settlement and your personnel?" The Naxos. The Naxos. The settlement. The Naxos. The Naxos. The Naxos. Kale swallowed. This was more than a simple puzzle. The simulation was realistic, every decision carrying weight. Lyra stepped closer to him, her eyes calm and steady. "We can do this together," she said. "Trust your instincts." Kale nodded, then began to speak, outlining their plan. "First, we secure civilians in safe zones," he said, pointing to the areas in the simulation. "Then, we use available defenses to intercept the approaching ships, prioritizing ones that pose the greatest threat. Communication will be key. We need to coordinate all units efficiently," Lyra added. "And we must anticipate unexpected variables. Humans are adaptable. We improvise when the plan changes. That flexibility is our strength." The ambassador observed silently, its large eyes unblinking. Kale felt the pressure, but also a quiet thrill. This was a test of more than intelligence. It was a test of human creativity, intuition, and teamwork. As they moved through the simulation, Kale noticed small errors in the automated defenses. Lyra pointed them out quietly. "Here," she said. "The system assumes a direct attack, but humans think differently. Let's use diversion and deception. We can lead the ships away from civilians, without firing directly." Kale's eyes lit up. "Exactly. We can create a path, lure the threat into a harmless trajectory. It's risky, but it works better than brute force." Together, they coordinated the simulation with fluid efficiency. Civilians were evacuated, Automated defenses shifted strategically, and the approaching ships followed the calculated diversions. Within minutes, the settlement was safe, the simulated threat neutralized without unnecessary destruction. The chamber was silent for a moment. Then, the ambassador's voice broke the quiet. "Impressive," it said. "Your solution is not the one we anticipated, yet it is effective. It shows creativity, adaptability, and understanding of risk. Your species does not follow only logic. You incorporate emotion, intuition, and surprise." Kale felt a surge of pride. "We did it together," he said softly, looking at Lyra. She smiled, brushing a hand lightly over his arm. "We always do," she replied. The ambassador continued. "Humans are unpredictable. This is not weakness. It is a quality we respect." Kale blinked, trying to absorb the weight of those words. Respect from the Thryn was rare. Even small gestures of approval were considered significant. He realized that the pretend kiss they shared earlier was part of a larger pattern. Small acts of emotion, playfulness, and genuine interaction demonstrated humanity in ways the Thryn could not fully anticipate. Lyra leaned closer to Kale. "See? It wasn't just a joke. It was part of showing them we're human." Kale smiled, a warmth spreading through him. "Human, yes. Clever, too," he whispered back. The ambassador gestured toward another panel, this one showing a complex alien ecosystem. "You will face another scenario," it said. "This time, it involves negotiation with another species. Outcome depends on understanding motives, reading subtle cues, and building trust." Kale's brow furrowed. This was more challenging, less straightforward than the previous test. He glanced at Lyra. "This is about reading people. Or aliens. In this case." Lyra nodded. "Exactly. And humans excel at that. We use empathy, humor, and intuition. Watch for small signs they tell you more than words ever could." The simulation began. A small alien delegation approached, tense and cautious. Their posture and gestures suggested suspicion. KL remembered Lyra's advice. He decided to introduce himself with calm confidence, adding a slight, respectful bow, a universal gesture of goodwill he had learned could translate across species. Lyra joined in, her tone warm, her expression open. She made small gestures of humor, a playful comment about the weather in the sector designed to humanize them. Kale watched the aliens' responses closely, noting micro-movements. A slight tilt of the head, the shift of an eye, a pause in breathing. Step by step, they built rapport. The aliens relaxed, their gestures becoming less rigid, their tone more curious. Kyle realized the power of human emotion in diplomacy. Humor, empathy, and authenticity created connections no calculation could replicate. The Thryn ambassador observed silently, recording every gesture. Kale felt both exposed and exhilarated. Every instinct, every choice mattered. By the end of the scenario, the alien delegation agreed to cooperate in trade and information exchange. Kale and Lyra had not only solved the task, but had demonstrated a uniquely human approach. Trust building, through honesty, emotion, and adaptability. The ambassador spoke, voice calm but approving. "Your solutions are unconventional. Yet they succeed. Humans combine intellect, emotion, and intuition. You adapt in ways we did not anticipate. This is remarkable." Kale exhaled, relief washing over him. Lyra smiled, brushing her fingers over his hand. "See? You didn't even need the pretend kiss this time," she teased, softly. Kale laughed, shaking his head. "Maybe. But that little trick helped us understand one thing. Humans are more than logic. We are unpredictable, emotional, and clever. And that is our strength. The ambassador tilted its head slightly. A gesture Kale had learned indicated interest. We will consider your methods carefully. Humans possess qualities unusual in the galaxy. You may yet teach us new ways to think. 2S. I'm comin'. 2S. 2S. Lyra squeezed Kale's hand. That's the first real compliment from the Thrinn we've received. Kale chuckled. And we earned it with our minds. And a little heart. As they left the chamber, the station's corridors seemed less intimidating. Kale realized that every challenge ahead, every negotiation, every encounter with alien species, would be a test of more than knowledge. It would be a test of what made humans unique: ingenuity, empathy, humor, and connection. Lyra glanced at him with a teasing smile. Next time, maybe we'll try a scenario involving a real fleet battle. Think the Thrinn would like our style? Kale laughed. Let's not push our luck. But yes, I think we can handle anything, together. The station stretched before them, vast and alive. A place of endless possibilities and challenges. And for the first time, Kale understood the true measure of human strength. It wasn't weapons or technology alone. It was heart, mind, and spirit, working together in unpredictable, unstoppable harmony. And in that moment, he felt ready for anything the galaxy might throw at them. The hum of the station seemed almost louder now, carrying an edge of tension that Kale and Lyra could both feel. After the simulations and tests, the Thrinn had granted them a small window of observation. But the real challenge was only beginning. The lead ambassador had made it clear. Trust was growing. Yes, but the galaxy was unpredictable, and threats were never far away. Kale walked beside Lyra down the wide corridor leading to the observation deck. Large windows offered a view of the swirling stars, nebulae, and the distant glow of planets below. He tried to steady his mind, but a quiet unease lingered. Something was off, though he couldn't yet name it. Lyra noticed his tension. Thinking too much? She asked softly, her hand brushing against his. Kale gave a small smile. Maybe. Or maybe I'm sensing trouble before it even appears. You ever get that feeling? Quote. Lyra nodded. All the time. Humans have a strange gift for intuition. We notice patterns others miss. That's why we're still alive in situations like this. She squeezed his hand and smiled. Come on, let's meet the ambassador. They want to show us something. The ambassador led them into a chamber that felt more private than the council hall. The walls pulsed with soft blue light, and in the center floated a holographic projection of a nearby planetary system. Kale recognized it instantly. A human trade colony, normally peaceful, now marked with red warning symbols. Lyra gasped softly. That's our colony! What's happening? The ambassador's eyes focused on them. We have detected unusual activity near your settlement. Ships are approaching from outside the sector. We do not know their origin, but their behavior indicates intent to disrupt or harm. Kale's stomach tightened. So it's real, not a simulation? The Thrinn shook its head. Real. You must decide quickly how to respond. Every delay may cost lives. Lyra stepped forward, her expression calm but intense. We need to gather information first. Identify the ships, their strength, and their direction. Then we can plan a response that minimizes risk. Kale nodded. And we need to alert the colony. They must prepare defenses and evacuation routes immediately. But we can't panic them. Panic spreads faster than the threat itself. The ambassador observed silently. You approach with logic tempered by empathy. This is unusual and effective. Kale glanced at Lyra, a spark of determination lighting his eyes. We need a plan that combines speed, strategy, and human unpredictability. Something the attackers won't expect. Lyra smiled, understanding exactly what he meant. We'll use what makes us human. Intelligence, intuition, improvisation. Together, they coordinated with the Thrin observation team. Kale's mind raced as he considered every variable. The ship's trajectories, the colony's defenses, the safety of civilians, the possibility of hidden traps. Lyra's insights were precise, often noticing details he would have missed: a minor energy signature, an unusual signal pattern, a shift in the attacker's formation. By combining their skills, Kale and Lyra devised a plan that was daring yet precise. They would use decoy ships to lure the attackers away, while automated defenses and colony personnel secured critical areas. Simultaneously, they would send a message of peaceful intent, hoping to confuse or delay the aggressors long enough to prevent harm. The Thrin ambassador observed silently, recording every step. Kale felt the weight of judgment, yet also the thrill of human ingenuity at work. As the plan unfolded in the simulation and then in real time with the colony, Kale realized something remarkable. Humans had a way of thinking that was fundamentally different from the Thrin. Where the aliens relied on strict observation, protocol, and prediction, humans used improvisation, intuition, and creativity. They could respond to chaos with cleverness, and to fear with courage. The first wave of the attackers approached. Kale held his breath as decoy ships moved into position, creating a false path that drew the enemy away from the colony. Automated defenses activated precisely as planned, intercepting the intruders without unnecessary damage. Lyra's voice was calm and precise as she directed personnel. Her gestures almost imperceptible, yet perfectly understood by those following them. Kale felt a deep sense of pride. Together, they had taken human intuition, applied it with careful logic, and created an outcome that no one, not even the Thrin, could have fully predicted. As the threat subsided, Kale and Lyra watched the last of the attackers retreat into the void. The colony was safe, thanks to their quick thinking and human adaptability. The Thrin ambassador's gaze softened ever so slightly. Your species demonstrates qualities most others do not: creativity, courage, empathy, and unpredictability. These traits give you advantage even against forces that might seem stronger. Lyra exhaled, relief flooding through her. We did it. We really did it. Kale smiled, brushing a hand over hers. Yes, and not just because of our plan, but because we're human. We improvise, we care, and we never give up. The ambassador tilted its head. This changes our understanding. Humans are more than records and reports suggest. You have potential to shape the galaxy in ways others cannot predict. 2. Kale felt a thrill at the words. Potential. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and full of unknowns. And humans, with all their flaws and quirks, had the ability to make a difference. Lyra leaned close, whispering. It's about heart, mind, and intuition. Kale nodded. And a little bit of boldness. A willingness to do what's unexpected. As they debriefed with the Thrin, Kale realized something else. The attacks were not random. There were patterns, hints of strategy, and perhaps even a rival faction trying to manipulate events behind the scenes. The realization hit him like a pulse of cold air. The galaxy was not just full of opportunity, it was full of danger, hidden in ways that even the Thrin had difficulty detecting. Lyra noticed his expression and gave his hand a reassuring squeeze. We'll figure it out. We always do. Kale smiled at her, a mix of admiration and affection. You make me brave. Lyra's eyes twinkled. And you make me clever, she replied softly. They were an unlikely team, two humans standing at the edge of interstellar politics and cosmic danger. Armed only with intelligence, intuition, and their shared trust. And yet, they had already proven their worth. The Thrin ambassador regarded them with something close to respect, perhaps even awe. Your species is remarkable. Perhaps in time, we will learn more from you than we imagined. Kale felt a swell of pride. Humans were capable of so much more than technology or strategy alone. Their true strength lay in their ability to think, adapt, and connect. In a galaxy where precision, observation, and logic ruled, humans were unpredictable wildcards, and that unpredictability could be a force for good. As they left the chamber, the stars outside the observation deck seemed brighter, almost as if the universe itself recognized the potential of humanity. Kael turned to Lyra, a playful smile on his face. You know, maybe the Thrin should watch more pretend kisses. It seems to work in our favor. Lyra laughed softly, brushing her fingers over his arm. Maybe. But don't get any ideas. We have bigger challenges ahead. 8. Kael nodded, excitement and anticipation replacing the tension he had felt earlier. Together, they had faced tests, simulations, and real danger. Together, they had shown what humans could do when intellect and emotion worked in harmony. And now, they understood something profound. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges, and often dangerous. But with courage, creativity, and trust in each other, they could face anything. Humans were not just survivors, they were problem solvers, innovators, and, above all, unpredictable. And that unpredictability, Kael realized with a quiet thrill, was their greatest strength. Lyra glanced out the window, watching the stars drift past. The galaxy is full of mysteries, she said softly, and we're just beginning to understand our place in it. Kael took a deep breath, feeling a sense of purpose settle over him. Then let's make sure humans are remembered not just for their technology, but for their courage, heart, and cleverness. Lyra smiled, resting her head lightly on his shoulder. I think we already are, she whispered. As they stood there, side by side, watching the stars, Kael felt the truth of her words. Humanity had arrived not as conquerors, not as simple observers, but as a species capable of remarkable insight, bravery, and connection. And together, he and Lyra would continue to prove it. The galaxy was watching, and for the first time, Kael felt certain that humans were ready to be seen for exactly what they were: brilliant, unpredictable, and full of potential. The station's observation deck was quieter than usual. The constant hum of energy systems softened to a gentle pulse. Kael and Lyra stood side by side, watching the stars drift past like scattered diamonds. The events of the past days weighed on them: simulations, tests, and the real threat to the human colony, but now there was a sense of accomplishment in the air. Kael took a deep breath, feeling the gravity of everything they had experienced. We've done a lot, he said softly, almost to himself. Lyra glanced at him, her eyes reflecting both pride and relief. Yes, we have. And we've proven something important. Humans aren't just survivors. We adapt, we improvise, and we can change outcomes even in impossible situations. Kael smiled, squeezing her hand. The Thrin ambassador approached, its presence calm but commanding. Humans, it said, voice smooth and precise. Your actions in the past cycles, simulation and real engagement, have demonstrated qualities we find remarkable. Your species' ability to combine logic, intuition, and emotion is unprecedented. Kael felt a thrill. Thank you, he said simply, though he knew words alone could not convey the effort and strategy that had gone into their actions. Lyra stepped forward, her tone respectful but confident. We believe in cooperation. We want to share knowledge, understand each other, and ensure that our civilizations thrive together. The ambassador inclined its head. Your offer is noted, and your efforts in defending the colony have impressed us greatly. You have shown strategy, courage, and cleverness. And everyone. KL glanced at Lyra and grinned. Cleverness. I like that word. Clever. Lyra laughed softly, her eyes sparkling. Humans are full of surprises, she said. Sometimes we use cleverness instead of force, sometimes humor instead of tension, and sometimes a little affection to build trust. Kale chuckled, remembering the moment when Lyra had whispered, "Pretend to kiss me." He's watching. It had seemed playful then. But now, he realized how much it had mattered. The small gesture had been a perfect example of human unpredictability and emotional intelligence. The ambassador's gaze lingered on them, almost as if it were studying something beyond the obvious. Your species' methods are unpredictable, yet effective. It is rare to encounter beings who can balance heart and mind so fluidly. Kale felt a surge of pride. Humans were not just clever in technology or military strategy. They were unique because of their emotions, empathy, and ability to improvise under pressure. These were traits no alien species could fully anticipate or replicate. Lyra leaned close to Kale. We've done more than survive tests. We've shown what humans can do when we trust ourselves and each other. Kale nodded, thinking of the colony, the simulations, and the real attacks. Every challenge had been met with human creativity and intuition. Every problem had a solution, often one no one had expected. The galaxy might have been vast and dangerous, but humans had proven they were capable of thriving even in the most unpredictable circumstances. The ambassador spoke again. Your actions have consequences beyond what you may realize. Other species will observe these events. Your ability to act with intelligence, empathy, and adaptability may shift perspectives across the sector. Kale's heart raced. You mean, humans might be seen differently? Respected? Yes, the Thrin said simply. For the first time, we recognize the full potential of your species. Lyra squeezed Kale's hand. See? Humans really can make a difference. Even small acts, honesty, humor, trust, can change how others perceive us. Kale smiled. And sometimes a little playful trickery, too. Lyra laughed, shaking her head. Don't push it too far, or the Thrin might think we're reckless. Kale laughed along with her, the tension of recent events finally giving way to joy. They had faced tests, real threats, and unknown variables, and humans had triumphed. Not through force alone, but through cleverness, emotion, and teamwork. The ambassador gestured to the observation window. Look at the galaxy. So vast, so full of challenges, yet you have shown that your species can rise to meet them. This gives hope for the future. Kale gazed out at the stars, feeling the weight and promise of those words. Humanity was small in the vastness of space, but their potential was immense. Through courage, creativity, and connection, they could leave a mark on the galaxy, one that others would remember. Lyra leaned her head lightly on Kale's shoulder. We've done it together, she whispered. Kale wrapped an arm around her, a sense of warmth and pride flooding him. Always together, he replied. The rest of the day passed in a blur of debriefings, updates, and quiet reflection. Kyle and Lyra moved through the station, observing interactions between humans and Thrin, seeing for themselves how trust and respect had grown. Humans were being seen as partners, not just visitors. Their ingenuity, adaptability, and emotional intelligence had earned recognition. Kale paused to watch a group of young humans practicing simulations nearby, their faces bright with excitement and curiosity. He felt a deep sense of pride, not just for himself or Lyra, but for humanity as a whole. Humans were clever, resourceful, and resilient. Traits that allowed them to thrive where others might falter. Lyra nudged him gently. Together, they entered a chamber where the Thrin Council awaited. Holographic displays highlighted the events of the past cycles, the simulations, the colony's defense, and the diplomatic efforts. KL and Lyra reviewed the outcomes, noting successes, observations, and lessons learned. The lead ambassador addressed them. Your species has demonstrated qualities that few others possess: courage, empathy, innovation, and adaptability. These traits, combined with the ability to act unpredictably yet responsibly, make humans remarkable. Kale felt a swell of pride. Remarkable, he echoed softly. Lyra smiled, her eyes shining. And we're only just beginning. Imagine what humans can achieve as we continue to explore, learn, and grow. The ambassador inclined its head. The galaxy is watching. Your actions have already influenced perceptions beyond this station. Humans may inspire other species to rethink strategies, cooperation, and trust. You have changed the future. Kale and Lyra exchanged a glance, a mixture of awe and determination passing between them. They understood now that their mission was far from over. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges, but also opportunities to show what humanity could achieve. Lyra whispered, "Next time, maybe we'll even lead a mission to an unexplored system. Who knows what we'll discover?" Kale chuckled. "Whatever it is, we'll handle it. Together." The ambassador spoke once more. "Humans, your species' heart and mind are inseparable. Use this wisely. The universe respects those who act with both courage and intelligence." Kale looked out the window again, the stars stretching endlessly. "We will," he said softly, determination ringing in his voice. Lyra rested her hand on his arm. "And we'll keep proving it. One challenge at a time." Kale smiled, feeling the truth of her words. Humanity had triumphed, not through weapons, not through sheer force, but through creativity, empathy, and cleverness. The galaxy was vast, but humans were ready. Unpredictable, adaptable, and full of heart, they could face anything that came their way. As the stars shifted and the station hummed around them, Kale and Lyra stood together, a symbol of human potential. They had survived tests, solved impossible problems, and earned the respect of a species renowned for observation and analysis. And in that moment, Kale knew that humanity had not just survived the galaxy, they had begun to shape it. Lyra leaned close and whispered, teasingly, "So, did our little trick with the pretend kiss really help?" Kale laughed, shaking his head. "It did, in more ways than one. It reminded us that being human, clever, bold, and full of heart is our greatest strength." They walked together toward the station exit, hand in hand, ready to face the next challenge the galaxy might send. Stars stretched endlessly before them, full of promise, mystery, and adventure. Kale glanced at Lyra, a playful smile tugging at his lips. "Are you sure, my love?" Lyra winked, her smile radiant. "Absolutely. Let's go show the galaxy what humans can do." And together, they stepped forward into the unknown, ready to prove that humanity, clever, unpredictable, and full of heart, was a force to be reckoned with.